Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Culture Kings Royal Rhetoric, right here with yours truly, DJ Ronnie Ron Stott, William Stokes, Dorian Edwards. This is Culture Kings. Yes, sir. Go ahead on, Will.
All right. What's going on? Hey, I was telling the fellas I wanted to take just a few minutes because there may be some people on here that really don't know what we stand for and why we're doing this. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes to explain to everybody. So who we are? So we are Culture Kings. So we are a brand. We're a movement. We are a way of life that started by the four gentlemen that you see here: myself, Ron Stop, Dorian Edwards, DJ Ronnie Ron, and ultimately what we want to do is build up platforms that impact the culture for the kingdom of God through various forms of media. Um, so we want to be a voice for the Father in the culture. We want to make sure that we do things that we have the kingdom agenda in mind in everything that we do, because it is a delicate balance when it comes to the faith and then those social issues that sort of impact the culture. Um, so what we want to do, we want to bring balance. We want to promote healing, reconciliation, but ultimately we want to bring solutions in everything that we do. But while doing that, we don't want to compromise our faith and who we are as men, and especially as black men. We don't want to compromise that. Um, and the format that we're going to be coming on, and Dorian touched on it probably in the first week. We don't want to come across all the time like we're the authority on all of these issues. So we're going to have guests on. We're going to have people on. One of my brothers from church say all the time, he's like, God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason. So you should be listening at least twice as much as you're talking. And I like to say that I've never learned anything new while I was talking. So with that being said, we got a special guest that we're gonna have on today, brother Maurice Morris. He's like a former deputy sheriff and a police activist. Because, like I said earlier, we want to be part of the solution. So we want to bring people on who can help us with the solution. And with every show, every thought, we want to inspire ideas. So that's
Yes.
that's what we're about.
All right. Without further ado, we're going to bring on Brother Maurice Morris. But first and foremost, I want to give you a little brief bio about him. Maurice Morris is a native of Charleston, South Carolina. He's been a resident of Toledo area for over 30 years. Since his formative years, he has aspired to be in law enforcement. Maurice began his journey towards life service as a young police cadet with the Charleston County Sheriff Department, Explorer Post number 555. He's come from a family of veterans, military, law enforcement professionals. Maurice possesses both an associate's and bachelor's degree in law enforcement and criminal justice from the University of Toledo. That's where my wife went. Maurice is passionate about protecting youth from the myriad social ills that plague the community. He has personally fought the barriers associated with advocating for youth and is dedicated to making the protection of Lucas County youth a hallmark of his work in the community. A veritable public service, Maurice began his professional career as an eligibility specialist with Lucas County Job and Family Services, providing education and support to families. He's continued his career of public service by joining the Lucas County Sheriff Department in 1994. He served as deputy sheriff for 12 years, working in the Lewis County Jail until 2006. Opting to pursue entrepreneurial and educational endeavors, Maurice owned and operated an information technology service company, working with small businesses and individuals to build, repair, and service computers, hardwares, and other things. He's also served students at Ivy Bridge College, Life Skills High School as a success coach, guiding them to attain their educational goals. In the effort to improve their quality of life, Maurice has joined now the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. In addition to his work history, Maurice volunteers his time supporting Lucas County's most vulnerable citizens and our children. For more than 30 years, he served as a court-appointed special advocate and guardian ad litem at advocating for the best interests of abused and neglected children. He served as a mentor in Toledo public schools at inner city elementary schools where many children deal with the various issues of life, such as low income neighborhoods. Maurice fights for young people, touted as the embattled warrior against child sex crimes by the Golden Badge. He's known that as an educated, he knows that an educated young population is the hope for Lucas County. He desires to bridge the divide between law enforcement and youth experiencing discrimination, abject poverty, and social settings. He is keenly aware of the responsibility of adults, businesses, and systems to make a community where everyone can thrive. He is dedicated to helping create that community. Maurice loves law enforcement and knows that corruption and misconduct damage good officers. Since 2014, Maurice has served as national recruiter for Golden Badge, which is part of the National Forum on Judicial Accountability. The Golden Badge is a support group of the U.S. law enforcement whistleblowers. The organization helps to mobilize communities for their self-empowerment and to combat criminal justice. We can all agree that an official who supports accountability will create cultural shift that is good for deputies, residents, and the community at large. Maurice also serves as the National Safe Cop Coordinator of Lucas County for the National Police Defense Foundation. Maurice resides in Toledo with his wife and young daughter. The family enjoys time together and traveling at various landmarks throughout the United States. So without further ado, we bring up Deputy Maurice Morris. How you doing there, sir? Hello? Oh, man, hold on.
Mic is muted.
You need to unmute your mic.
Hey.
There you go. All right.
Yes. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, man, you're muted. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. And Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for having me on tonight. I'm looking forward to having a pointed discussion about what's happening across our country. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, well, we are so honored to have you on. And for those who are watching us, you feel free to ask or comment on any questions so that you would like to ask Mr. Morris or the panel here. And so again, we are Culture Kings, and we just thank God for this opportunity. So let's definitely get right into it. So tell us about the organization Golden Badge.
Okay, before we do, I want to take a moment on behalf of Golden Badge, its executive directors, and also the board members from the National Forum on Judicial Accountability. We want to offer our deepest condolences to the family of Anthony Dia, a Toledo police officer who was killed last night in the line of duty.
Wow.
We understand the job that comes along with being a law enforcement officer, the innate danger that comes with it. This young man had only been on the force for about a year, and he lost his life last night.
Wow.
Unfortunate, but I'm hoping that our community not only come together to support his family, but to make sure
we have a little technical.
Police officers at Toledo Police, local enforcement, and city of Toledo in the county of Lucas. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. I appreciate it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. So were y'all able to understand them?
Okay.
Most of it.
Portion of that.
It got a little choppy for a while.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, all right. Well, again, definitely our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the family of that officer there in Toledo. Okay, all right. So go ahead. Tell us about Golden Badge.
Golden Badge is a international union, and basically it's real simple in its mission. We're pro-police, anti-corruption. Golden Badge was created by Dr. Xenia Crenshaw Logo in the hopes of bringing law enforcement whistleblowers together to band together to support each other, because there's local law enforcement and national law enforcement that have been blowing the whistle on police agencies for some of the corrupt things they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I became a part of it, because I blew the whistle on the sheriff department where I was employed.
Mm.
So Golden Badge is a close-knit international union of whistleblowing law enforcement, be it city, state, county, or national.
Mm-hmm.
That's Golden Badge. Yeah, that's what we're about. Pro-police, anti-corruption. So we're going to support the good cops, but then we also want to out the bad cops.
Awesome. Okay, so let me ask you, have you ever been in a situation where you had to intervene because another cop was not following protocol? And if you did, how did you handle it?
Of course. When I first got on with the sheriff department, I was assigned to corrections. And in corrections, it's a pretrial holding facility. So every local agency and federal agency would bring their inmates to county jail.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to serve them, getting them back and forth to the relative court system. But nonetheless, we've had some issues where we had to deal with some violent and aggressive inmates. But on some occasions, these inmates were not violent nor aggressive. And there's been some officers, white officers, would want to go fisticuffs with some of these inmates.
Mm.
And I didn't do it at that point. But once we were able to get a handle of the situation, me and that officer had a face-to-face conversation. I let him know I didn't appreciate how you treated that inmate, because you wouldn't treat a white inmate the same way. So there's a disparity and a disconnect. So if that happens again, you and I gonna have some problems.
Wow.
So yes, I have called some officers on the carpet for their behavior towards black inmates.
Amen.
Yeah.
Did you see any, what was the response to that? Did you see any change, or, was there a more aggressive response? How did those interactions normally go when that happened?
Oh, I mean, he was basically trying to explain away, why he did what he did. And I was not having it. I was not hearing it, because I know what I witnessed and I know what I saw. So basically, he and I had that conversation, but did it change him as an officer when he had contact with black inmates? No. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the culture within law enforcement. That's the culture in law enforcement across the country. That it's okay to treat inmates the way they treat inmates, especially black inmates. Right. So if we treat them like that on the streets, they get treated like that in the jail.
Wow. Yo, is there any?
It doesn't change.
Is there any truth to inadequate training for police officers? That there's a reinforcement of stereotypes in the beginning of training that kind of carries over into their service part?
Well, like I said earlier, it's about the culture. And if the culture is set up to where it's okay for white police officers to treat black men like they're animals and criminal, your training is inadequate from the jump.
Wow.
Because so let's go back for a second. So y'all know I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, right?
Right.
From Orangeburg.
Correct.
Homeboy.
So I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So who's from Orangeburg?
Yeah, I'm from Orangeburg. Yep.
Okay. South Carolina State.
Yes, sir.
So the point I wanted to make was, if we go back to slavery,
okay,
on the plantations, and when the black slaves would leave the plantation, your first official police patrol masters would band together with men to go out and find those slaves.
Right.
That culture, that mindset is still the same across many police agencies. Now, let me also say this. Now, when I was on the campaign trail running for Lucas County Sheriff, and I was putting it out there. I mean, I am not a politician. I've never, ever, ever come off as a politician. I am who I am. But this is what I said. And there was some studies out there that you all can find and read. But there was one particular study that stuck with me. And this woman, she did a study with the Los Angeles Police Department. And she did it with all white officers. And the chief of police at the time gave her free reign. And once those white police officers became comfortable with her, she had a series of questions to ask. And these were the questions. How do you feel about black people? How do you feel about black men? About the black community? And their answers were, well, I never grew up around black people. Black men are violent, aggressive, uneducated, can't be taught.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that is. Wow. Yes, exactly, Carlos. Wow. So this is the culture that's basically being implemented or being formulated to concerning black men in general, and then this is why we have a lot of the police brutality per se, or in the way how they treat us.
So the ones,
because
the ones who serve and protect. I'm just saying the ones who took an oath to serve and protect. So this is the mindset that they have about us, which says a lot, you know.
Yeah, so you're coming into a police department, going into a police academy with that ideology, with that preconceived notion about black people. And when you come out of the police academy, you still have that through all of your training, because through all of your cultural training and constitutional law, you still have that perspective on black people. So when you come out of the academy and you hit the streets and you come in contact with a black man for the first time,
wow,
how do you think it's going to go down?
Wow.
Wow. Yes. Again, if you're just tuning in to Culture Kings, if you'd like to join in on this discussion or have any questions or comments, we're talking with former Lucas County Deputy Maurice Morris, and so we're talking about police reform. He's with Golden Badge Project Blue Sky Correction, and so again, feel free to post your comment or concern. We got Virgin P. Townsend says Kareem Edwards Sr. sounds like something you may be interested. Oh, okay, all right, yeah. So she's spreading the word. Thank you so much. Hey, you all spread the word out there. Let folks know that we're talking about this here on Culture Kings Royal Rhetoric right here. Yeah, go ahead.
So Mr. Morris, so what's if you're saying that the beginning in regards to training is the primary issue that we're seeing a lot of negative interaction between the police and black people, why has your reform looked at the training portion of trying to get there at the infancy of candidates being brought to the force?
Yes, I sent out to Mr. Smith the press release that Golden Badge released a couple of weeks ago, and it's called Project Blue Sky Course Correction. And as a part of a 7-point initiative, that was one of the things we talked about. The quality of candidates before they even come into the police agency, before they even come into the academy. I think there needs to be a psychological exam if you are interested in a particular individual to be a police candidate or cadet. So don't do the psychological exam after you hire them and they starting to go through the process. You want to do it at the very beginning if this person you are looking at to bring in as a potential police cadet. Let's start to weed them out before they get a foot in the door.
That's good.
So if Mr. Smith had issued the press release, you would see that we were looking at the training, fairness, equality, impartial treatment.
I'll pull that up.
Community public. Yes, it's there. Yeah. So those are some of the issues that we definitely need to take in and to deal with. Now, mind you, it's not only the issue with white officers on black men, but it's the whole criminal justice system. Because you've heard it before. Is it justice or just us?
Or just not us.
So from the beginning of contact with law enforcement, and you get arrested and you started to go through the criminal justice system, you're going to be faced with those same individuals, but in a different role.
Right.
The prosecuting attorney, the white judge. And I'm telling you from experience, because I've been through it. Becoming a whistleblower, losing my career because I blew the whistle on the previous sheriff for what he was doing, and they sent me through a criminal justice system. And we had, I think shortly after my case ended, there was 2 other cases where white officers were in trouble, felony charges. They didn't spend 1 day in jail. You know what the white criminal justice system did to them? They hugged them, tapped them on the hand. You shouldn't have done that, and sent them on their way. So there is a discrepancy, especially when it comes to handing out punitive sentencing to black people. So we're looking at the totality of the criminal justice system that needs to be reformed. Now, here's the deal. You're talking about DAs, prosecutors, and judges possibly giving up some of their power in order to come to the table to have this conversation. Now, mind you, judges, prosecuting attorneys, law enforcement have what we call qualified immunity, meaning we can do what we want to and get away with it.
Right.
So how many judges and prosecutors going to want to give up their qualified immunity? Over the last 5 years, raise your hand. Have you ever seen or ever heard of a DA or prosecuting attorney get in trouble for abusing their office or their power?
Wow.
It's unheard of.
Right.
It is unheard. So we're looking at the totality of the criminal justice system, from police brutality to how black men and black folks are treated as they go through the criminal justice system. Now, they'll tell you that justice is blind and that those that are sit in power is impartial. That is not true. And there's studies to show you that that's not true. And I'm here as an individual that went through it to tell you personally that is not true.
Now, you said something earlier that you lost your job. So, blowing the whistle on certain situations, but nothing happened to the other individual or the white cops per se.
Yeah, real short, and I don't want to go too much into it. Basically, I was trying to protect our kids from sexual predators in the church.
Wow.
In the church. Wow.
And there was an individual that was having sex with a 15-year-old girl. He was 21. I took it to the sheriff. I said, hey, I'm in a particular situation, because at the time I was a minister and a police officer, and I also was head of our church security. So instead of the sheriff at the time moving on my report, he did nothing, while 5 kids out of our church was sexually molested by predators. I intervened with one situation, went to arrest the individual. He assaulted me, took him to jail, and then everything turned around that I assaulted him. And before you know it, the sheriff was on top of it. I was indicted, prosecuted, went to jail for a crime I didn't commit. Wow. And I still got the evidence to prove it to this day. But check this out. 12 years later, 3 pastors in the Toledo area went to federal prison for the very same thing I was trying to protect our kids from.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
So a part of that study also was, how do white police officers view our black kids? They don't view our black kids like we view our black kids. I'll give you an example. White kid go missing. The police department would use all resources to find that child. Black or brown kid go missing, they drive around the block and come back and like, don't see, Jaquan. And that's it. So we gotta level the playing field. All kids matter. If one child go missing,
Right.
we need to use all the resources to go find that child. So these are some of the issues that need to be addressed. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit.
Oh no, you good.
This thing is this is serious. And now that we have attention of America, law enforcement, mayors, judges, Congress, that we need to use this time right now to let not only our voices be heard, but sit down and have real solution about how we deal with one, police brutality on the Black community, and then also the criminal justice system as it deals with Black people as they go through the system. And that's from high bail for low crimes.
High bail for low crimes. Wow. Go ahead, fellas.
Let me ask you something. From the public perspective, you've been on the inside. It seems from the outside that there's like this unspoken code of silence amongst law enforcement. So that when even an officer does something wrong, clearly wrong or flagrant in the public eye, his fellow officers, judges, prosecutors, they all seem to just kind of be automatically supportive of the law enforcement officer, you know what I'm saying, more so than even the victim. You know, the Amber Geiger case, you know, the judge hugged her, you know what I'm saying, but they were criminalizing the victim when we found weed in his drawer. I'm like, what does it got to do with anything? And so, like, as far as the Black man, you know, we can't seem to find any kind of compassion, whether we're accused of a crime or we're the victim of a crime. But law enforcement gets such a widespread of compassion amongst his fellow peers. And so for us, it seems to be like this unspoken silence, this fraternity, this brotherhood, that even though it's wrong, that blue is more important than the actual offense. Now, you've been on the inside. Is this true? Is this something that you see operating?
I tell you what, I can say this. It depends on who the officer is and if the officer is well liked by command or other fellow officers. So me, that they didn't afford me that opportunity. They did not afford me the support as an officer doing my situation. So it depends on who the officer is. If the officer is well liked by command and other officers, and then what they will do is they will circle the wagon and support them.
Right.
So yeah, there's a thin blue line.
Jail for apprehending a predator. That's what you're telling me. Amber Geiger shot a guy in his own apartment, and she got a hug.
Now, and you will not find any other Black man or Black female to go through the criminal justice system, and the judge will respond to them like that. Now, we've had police officers that have flat out killed Black men, would never get indicted, and has not gotten indicted to this day. But me, on the other hand, I was supposed to have qualified immunity. It didn't apply. And those that was in charge of the case knew it, didn't think about it, didn't even ask about it, didn't try to move forward with it. The thing is, and y'all, I'm gonna try to clean this up as much as possible. They could care less about me and my qualified immunity. If nothing else, they wanted to send a message to any Black officer at the Lucas County Sheriff Department. This is what we're gonna do to you if you try to push us, if you challenge us. My situation, I would relegate it to, do you guys remember the movie Trading Places?
Right.
Yeah.
And when the two old men went in the bathroom and said, hey, I bet you we can mess up somebody's life.
Right.
And the other one said, so I believe that's what happened to me. You got prosecutor, judge, and the sheriff come together. And this is what we're going to do to him. Because the sheriff already knew my passion for our kids. He already knew that I've been working in the community. He already knew that I would literally lay my life down for our kids. and he used that against me. And they came together and they said, watch me or watch us ruin his life. And he almost got away with it. But as Ron said earlier, this past November, I put my name in the hat to run for Lucas County Sheriff.
Yes.
I didn't win, but my wife said, even if you lose, you still win. And I still won. Why? Because I came back from what they were trying to do to me, which is to break a black man's spirit. And you know, the moment you break a black man's spirit, he no good to himself,
Right.
his family, or his community. I went to hell. I lost a lot, but I'm slowly coming back because I didn't give up. And there were other people that was positioned in my life that continued to believe in me. And I am able to sit here today to say what I'm saying and to do what I'm doing because we're going to make a difference. Come hell or high water, we're going to make a difference. We have to, because our black men are literally dying at the hands of white police officers. Now, mind you, too, and you guys want to get into this, too, there are also black police officers that do us the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
Mention that.
Yeah. That was my question to you is that, you know, from television, radio, movies, or whatever, a black man or a black woman as a police officer, you unless even if you're from the neighborhood, you are not looked at as an upstanding individual. How do you overcome those barriers from the perception of like a black police officer is really not down for the cause, and then also too trying to perform your duty as a police officer?
Well, I don't think you can actually overcome that because if that particular black police officer has that perspective on the community that he's serving, I believe there's no overcoming that. And that's just my personal opinion. It's almost like we got the white and black officers against us. And I think what we're trying to do is get them to see, hey, man, I may not know you, but our struggles may be the same. Our skin color is the same. You understand this community and some of the stuff we're going through. Why would you side with your colleagues to further victimize us? How do we get them to see that? How do we get them to look at us as being human? Now, I'm going to say this too, and then you guys can elaborate on it. We need to educate the public, but we need to educate the black community on what their rights are.
Come on now. Yeah.
We have to arm them
right.
with. Now, so what did they used to say back in the day? The number one place to hide something from black people is between pages, because as a people, we didn't read.
Right.
So we got to educate them with the Bill of Rights. We got to educate them with the U.S. Constitution. Still to this day, I still drive around with the U.S. Constitution in my car.
Wow.
The Bill of Rights in my car. So we got to educate them about, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the Eighth Amendment. They need to know these things. So if there's any interaction with law enforcement, you know what your rights are. I don't want you to arbitrarily just go off and start saying stuff that don't make any sense, because now you're digging yourself a deeper ditch. Now, that's not going to stop you from getting arrested, but what it's going to do is going to place that cop on notice. They know what they're talking about.
You're informed.
And the first thing they will tell me, I've heard it before, where'd you get your law degree from? And I say the same place you didn't get yours.
Okay.
Oh yes. Hey, again, if you just joined us, Culture Kings, and you would like to pose a question or make a comment, feel free. All right, we're talking to former Deputy Sheriff, Lucas County Sheriff Maurice Morris. All right, our former candidate for the sheriff race. And so again, we're talking about police reform. So feel free to join in this conversation. All right, this is very good. Awesome. And again, he's a representative of goldenbadge.org. Go and look at the website. We have some more questions that we definitely want to ask, but feel free to join in on the conversation. Go ahead, fellas.
Maurice, I was reading the the email that you sent Ron, and so it was like it seems like it's like a whole bunch of like organizations that sprouted just from that. I saw a whole bunch of alphabets in there, so it's a whole lot going on there. But it said these were formed as responses to what good government advocates describe as rampant U.S. legal system abuse facilitated by unchecked judicial misconduct. So what I'm hearing here is that your group, we got some legitimate personnel with information and understanding, bringing awareness and recommendations of things that need to be done to reform the judicial system. Why isn't the legislative arm listening?
Very good question.
Okay, and I'm gonna try to keep this as simple as possible. So, if you considered yourself a god, would you give up some of your power?
No. Nah, dark side, you won't.
And it take a strong argument to convince me, if I gave up my power, maybe I could get it more back on the back end and stuff like that. But that's a heavy question.
Right.
Yeah, so if you already a god or consider yourself a god and you're drunken on your own power, you're gonna give up some of your power to us?
Right. We had this conversation already, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, in regards to like what is it that we want. When we're talking about as Black people right now, we have the attention of the nation. People, we're protesting, we're making a lot of movements, but we're not saying anything. And we know that there's a lot of empathizers with people who are not Black, who are not brown, who are not yellow, who are minorities. But what has come from our conversations alone is that the powers that be are not going to remove themselves from their positions just because we're making a lot of noise. That there has to be some active movement and some actionable plans in place for us to be able to get to that point where we can move some of these quote unquote immovable powers to begin to reinforce and enforce change. Like your participation in Golden Badge, and then also like the course in itself is really good because it speaks well to having actionable plans, things that can be measured. Because if you say that training or a psychological test needs to be done, those tests are going to give us statistical significance on whether or not individuals actually match what's necessary to be able to be a law enforcement officer. So one of my, and it's not even a question, this is more of a statement. I know that there's a lot of issues that happen because a lot of individuals who go to become a police officer have never been outside of the areas that they've been. If they've never been to a community college, if they've never been to college, if they've never been away from their own communities, when it comes down to interacting with the public, they don't have any formal knowledge of what it's like to be around somebody who doesn't look like them. And so when you say you have these 7 points, I think that it speaks well again to like our previous conversation of, what is it that we want? And what I would like to ask you is, who are the think tank individuals that helped you come to your 7 points of emphasis through your program?
Oh man, wow. And I'm glad you brought that up because I've been involved with Golden Badge for a number of years, and we have come together in such a way to make this press release happen. So first, I want to start off with Dr. Xenia Crenshaw Logo. She is an awesome, extraordinary female that brought a lot of these groups together to spearhead a lot of this initiative. She even went before the United Nations down in New York to talk about human rights issues as it relates to whistleblowing in law enforcement and some other initiatives that she has spoken well about. We also have a retired police chief. His name is Gordon Weiberg. and he sits on the executive board. And there's a few others that I can't, and please charge it to my head, not my heart. But I'm on a continual conversation with Xenia and Chief Weiberg about these initiatives, and we've gone back and forth about it. We had a meeting today before this meeting to talk more about, what else can we do to bring a change to what we are asking. So I would say Dr. Xenia Logel and Chief Weiberg have been the catalyst behind a lot of our initiatives. And we've gone back and forth about what's good, what's not good. Sometimes it's heated, and that's what we need, because everyone on the committee are not yes people. We
Right.
sometimes need to hear no. Sometimes we need to be challenged. Chief Weiberg and I had a conversation just day before yesterday, and he wanted to know if I was upset about something I said, and I told him no. That's what I needed to hear. That's how we're able to resolve not only our differences, but then also look at the bigger picture. See, it's not about me, it's not about them, it's about how it's going to affect all of us. So those two individuals have been very important, but especially Xenia, because she has been spearheading the National Forum on Judicial Accountability, and then also Golden Badge. And also to let you know, we sent this press release to all the city, county, police officials in Toledo, and we've asked them to have a conversation with us face to face to talk about our initiative and then how we can help bring about this 7-point initiative or assessment to try to make it better in Lucas County, Toledo, Ohio. We've yet to hear from them, but we have opened the door for dialogue.
Nice.
Maurice,
Wow.
say now it's a power structure in place. It's power mongering involved. Again, I'm still trying to grasp then, even with your organization and the movement that you guys are putting in place and empowering those who are wanting to see some change and reform. How are we going to get these changes in place? How are we going to get these things to take effect if we got people, from what you're saying, you got people that are just simply holding on to power?
That's a strong drug too, that power.
And it has been. Okay, so have you heard this? Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got folks in Congress that's been there forever and a day.
Right.
That's all they
There you
know.
go.
They can identify with us because the mass majority of them are millionaires and billionaires. So how can they identify with struggling people every day? And also, half the stuff that we go through in America, they are exempt from.
Right.
They're exempt from.
Right.
So how do we get them to see our struggles, to see our shortcomings through initiatives like this and what's happening across the country? Now, the pushback is going to be, and I've already said it, they're not going to give up their power. What runs this country? Sex, money, and power. If you can name anything else, I'm open to hear it. But that's what moves this country and always has been, because anything that happens across this country will either be related to sex, money, or power. If I'm wrong, tell me. If there's anything you want to add to that, I'm willing to listen. And if you go back to the last few issues or breaking news that has happened across America, at the end of the day, it was either related to sex, money, or power. So folks that has money want more money and power. So how do we convince them to give up some of that power so we can make a difference about what's happening and affecting our communities locally? These people sit on the national level. This is Congress.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to waltz in there and have a conversation and say,
Right.
hey, we want y'all to, kind of give up a little bit of that power because we feel like we know what to do with it.
Wow.
So
I'm
is
like, right,
anyone, are y'all connected with anyone on the legislative
like that.
end? Is anyone listening or at least trying to give ear?
Now that's what Dr. Logo is really good with, connecting with people like that in Washington.
Okay.
She has been there, I know, before COVID-19, probably a half a dozen times to connect with them to get an audience just to talk about this and any other initiative she has that's related to judicial accountability reform. She came to Toledo last July, and I hosted her, and we talked about how we can mobilize local communities to come under NFOIA so that we can start to put pressure on our legislative branch, not only in the states, but also down in DC. So it's been boots on the ground.
Okay.
And as I said, Xenia has really, really, really tried to forge that relationship so they can at least recognize her name.
So, Mr. Morris, I want to ask you this right here. Yeah, I want to give shout outs to Wilbur, who says that's exactly what we have to. We have to take the power. We wanted equality, and that didn't work. The neck of the beast is white supremacy, and we need to cut it off once and for all. And we have to take it by any means necessary. All right, yes, Malcolm X. But how do you feel about police defunding the police department? What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I need to know, and I've heard that since George Floyd death, and that was so unfortunate, and that never should have happened, and that family should not have lost Mr. Floyd. But I've heard this term defunding the police, and I was trying to wrap my mind around it. Of what do you mean defund the police? Decommission the police also as you defund the police? And I believe that there's some jurisdictions that they won't decommission, but they will pull funds away from the police and use it to help impoverished neighborhoods. But there are also some on the other side that they want to disband the police altogether. And I'm like, good luck with that, because that does not make any sense at all.
Right.
Why would you want to decommission the police? And I know Minneapolis is looking at doing that. So that means
they did. The what was the spot where George Floyd was murdered?
Yes.
Yeah, they took that police department out.
Wow.
Okay, so now who is answering calls for service? So every municipality has to have a sheriff department. So that means the sheriff department from that county and probably the state police, if the state police don't have full police jurisdiction, so your county sheriff now would have to step up for calls for service. And most county sheriffs are not as big as police departments.
Right.
So now your call for service is now going to fall on the county sheriff. And they're going to get inundated. They're going to get overrun. They're going to be burdened down with many calls of service. So defunding and decommissioning police departments is clearly not the answer. I am not a fan or an advocate of that. Now, I'm an advocate of possibly using some of those funds to help impoverish neighborhoods, which is a good start, moving in the right direction. I like that. But the moment you disband the police department, the criminal element, they doing this. They're waiting, because the criminal element is what the criminal element is. That's what they do. They go out and they commit crimes. And if you don't have an authority there to push back against that criminal element, we're going to have utter chaos in our neighborhoods. They think crime rate is high now.
Right.
So let's answer this question here, or this comment here. He said, Wilbur says, we have two choices. Either we take the power from the white supremacists and attempt to operate in their system, or we create our own things separate from them. Either option, it will be a war because you are moving power and money. or power/money?
Okay, like I said, who's going to give up that power?
Right.
How are we going to get that power? For one, we can't collectively come together and figure out what we're going to have for lunch the next day.
Yeah,
So
what are we
how
gonna
are we going to
do?
collectively come together and get power? How are we going to do that?
That's a
Right.
good point. You're
And
right.
here's the deal. Everybody and folks that's in power already know black people don't have money to challenge them.
That's all
So
right.
in order to challenge people in power with money, how are we going to do it? Now, trust me, we'll take our money and go, buy some 22s and 32s and,
Hmm.
do some stuff like that.
Right.
But to actually put it to use to make a difference for us, how do we convince black people to put their money in a pot? Because anything that you challenge like this is going to cost money. And I don't mean a couple of nickels and dimes. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if
But
we're going to fund it, we're going to have to fund it together.
Mm.
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, because that I just had the thought. When you look at statistics, I don't have them in front of me, but ultimately saying black people are the biggest spenders in our country, so we spend more. So the thing is getting us all on the same page, and that some of that money that we're spending in other places and other areas to put it towards whether it's campaigning or some other type of programs, so we can begin to increase our power. So as we increase in power and as we come together, then they won't have really much choice but to give up some of that power or to be taken. And but
I agree. I agree.
I have a kind of.
I would like to see some black. Okay. Yes, I agree.
What?
I agree. I would like to see some black lobbyists in Washington.
Yeah.
Lobbying on behalf of us
Mm-hmm.
and our needs and our wants. Now, mind you, and I don't mean nickel and diamond. I mean real hard issues that they can lobby for us in DC. I would like to see that. I would like to see.
But our needs and wants have to line up with the needs and wants of somebody else that's in power, though, right?
Right. Because who is going to be the person that the lobbyist is going to be lobbying for? I mean, it's not going to do us any good to have a lobbyist there if the person in power or if the person that's in the seat is not going to, turn around and redistribute those same ideas and ideologies and plus the resources back to where we need them for. So who is above the lobby? So how do we get not just the lobbyist but the person in the seat? Is that a vote? Is that voting?
Well, first we have to form either a committee, and it has to be individuals that is poised to do certain things, because what you want to do is you always want to make sure you have people that you can use their strength and their knowledge to do certain things. Once you get like a committee like that together and then figure out who do we go after as a lobbyist, then that's what we do. But first down here, we got to formulate a committee, a real committee with real ideas, and everyone will have their own, lane to travel in to do things, to bring it together so that when we present it in such a way that they'll be willing to listen to what we have to talk about. Now, mind you, it's not going to happen probably in our generation, because guess what? They've been sitting in DC forever.
That's a whole fact.
And that power has been with them forever. So what we're thinking about doing right now is going to take us a minute to form, and then it's going to probably take some generations down the way to make a difference. But it's a conversation that must happen.
We got to start rolling the snowball downhill at some point.
Right.
Hey, let's answer Carlos'
yes, sir.
question. Comment real quick. You said, what if the community step up and begin to police our communities until the police system is fixed or rebuilt? Again, anybody can answer that as well too. But yeah, go ahead.
That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. That is not gonna work. You're gonna have more mess than what you have right now. Because it takes a unique individual to be a police officer and to go through the academy, and all the techniques and the tools that they give you and how to use them. And we spend hours through the academy.
Okay, I think we kind of lost you a little bit there.
Yeah. Then we have in service to have someone to protect our neighborhoods. That's not law enforcement. That's not going to work. That will not work.
All right. Hey, look,
that will work.
Yeah, go ahead, Dorian. Go ahead. Yeah, real quick.
Well, let's ask Carlos' question this way then. What if we took police officers that went through training and had them to actually establish like a community to be the community resource to help the community kind of police itself?
That's a good point.
Training unit.
Yeah. So would that work?
The spook who said
you're talking community policing. So as if I understand you, you're talking community policing, not to police, try to create another police department within that community. Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, like we're talking about Black people not spending the money on it. So like if you get your own community resource or your own police officer and the community pays for them, would that be something that could be used as for that particular community? Of course, like that's a lot of grease in the palms and some, again, like a little power struggle or whatever. But ultimately, it creates another police department.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, okay. So here you go. You would have basically a lot of Indians. I mean, a lot of chiefs, but not a lot of Indians,
right?
Because you go to So what you want to do is, I like a portion of that idea where a particular group of police officers would be assigned
right
to a particular area, so the community can get used to seeing them and having them interact with the community, and they can create that bond, that
right.
communication, that relationship. I can see that, which is called community policing. And I don't know if they're still doing that across the nation, but if they stop doing it, I am a proponent about them going back to doing that. Sign particular officers to a particular neighborhood. And those officers, that's where they're going to spend their time reconnecting to the community, and the community reconnecting to them, because that's how you start to deal with these issues that we're now faced with.
Right.
Awesome. Real quick, I want to thank Terry for his comment. For their comment. Redistribution of funding of things such as mental health professionals responding to a mental health call, either whether or in place of police. Elijah McClain may still be with us had there been a mental health professional there to recognize his disabilities and had engaged him instead of the police. I do not like the word defund because I think it gives a different impression of what is in most places being suggested.
So I like Terry's comment because it's the same thing with Black Lives Matter. The wording takes away from the actual real thing that's happening. So when we use the word defund, it like Tanya put on there that defunding would increase crime.
Right.
But I think that we have two different definitions of defund, like what Maurice is saying, like you have defund and decommission, and then also too like with Black Lives Matter, you have people who say all lives matter. I think that the phrasing of it, the phraseology of everything, a lot of times we get lost in the sauce because it's trigger words, and it causes us to be distracted to come up with like some of the side conversation that you have to continue to explain. So I do like Terry's comment. Big shout to Terry for dropping that knowledge on us.
Thank you so much.
Redistribution sounds a lot better than defund.
Oh, a whole fact. Yeah,
redistribution.
For sure.
So words are everything.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Mr. Morris, real quick, because we're about to wrap up here. I want to ask this question right here. How do we begin the process of starting a reform project locally?
If you are looking at a project along the lines of what a Black Lives Matter or Golden Badge or National Forum on Judicial Accountability, all you have to do is first, people have to be interested in change.
That's good.
If they're interested in change, then you can create your own local group of people speaking with one voice. From there, you can start to connect with your city and county officials about what's happening in your community and what's going on and how we can fix it and how we can change it. So I would say start with the people. And this is the thing, this is not an overnight one trick pony. This is something that when you create, it has to, it's almost like planting something. You have to continue to feed it. You have to continue to do what you need to do so that it could stay sustainable. So I would say, if you don't want to be involved in one of our groups, create your own group. But those individuals going to have to be there for the long haul, because it's not going to happen overnight. You got to put your work in. You got to roll your sleeves up and get your hand dirty.
Okay, come on, Tupac.
You can do it.
Come on,
but
Pop.
everybody got to come together for one goal.
How about them Cowboys, Mo?
Oh, Lord, no. Real quick, is Golden Badge, is it a national organization?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And if anybody wants to join, as you can see, that's our email address there.
Website, yeah.
Or if not, the badge, yes. We also have NFOIA, National Forum on Judicial Accountability. Xenia's already spearheading this. She's already made some inroads. As I said, she's been to United Nations, I think, twice to talk about this very issue right here. So if you are interested and you want to create a local Golden Badge or NFOIA, please sign up. We can get you going. And if I got to come there to help put that together and talk to the people, or Xenia or Chief Weiberg, we're willing to do that. Because this is real. This is needed.
Oh, she said it was international.
International. All right.
International.
Hey, we stand correct. International. Yes. Yes.
Miss Mogo hiding in the shadows.
Yes.
There. He came out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely need to have her on as well too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, we can make it happen. I'm gonna tell you, if you do,
okay,
buckle up.
Okay.
Strap your boots on.
All right.
Because she's going to bring the noise. When I'm telling you, educated, smart, she knows the statistics, she knows the people. As I said, she's made inroads. That is a smart, intelligent woman.
Okay, awesome. All right, Wilbur says you keep coming up with reasons why something shouldn't work. No offense. That thought process is why we are where we are now. Why can't we police our own neighbors? It takes y'all 40 minutes to arrive when the house alarm is going off in the middle of the night. I agree with getting your hands dirty, and I'm ready. Yeah. Now, Wilbur, I know him. He's a former police officer himself, former deputy, and yes, solid brother right there.
Yeah, Wilbur sound like he got 7 Mac 11s, about 8 38s, 9 9, 10 Mac 10s. That's what Wilbur sound like.
Oh, he sound like he doesn't call 911.
Yeah, he sounds like 911 is a joke.
But he's speaking the truth there.
Wow.
You know
Yeah. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Ron, I want to thank you and the fellas. Ron, you're doing an awesome job. This platform is needed. I feel good just talking and connecting with other brothers across the internet. You're not here, but you are here. So thank you for the opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking to coming back, whenever you want me to come back. It has been, it's been good. It really has. I have really enjoyed this hour.
Hey, just don't bring that hat on in. All right, yeah, that's up. But other than that,
watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
yeah, just leave that hat off.
And one last thing, we had a technical difficulty in the very beginning, and I want to just say it again. The Golden Badge and the Voyager, we offer our condolences to Officer Anthony Dia, who lost his life last night, Toledo police officer. We understand the dangers of the job, and now a wife don't have a husband, and the kids don't have a father, and our community is hurting. Yesterday, every Toledo police officer I saw, I shook their hand, and you can see the anguish and the hurt on their faces. And I think people fail to realize that police officers are human too, and we got a lot of good police officers out there, and I know a lot of them. Some of them are my best friends still to this day. But our hearts, our prayers, our condolences go out to Officer Anthony Dia from Golden Badge and National Forum on Judicial Accountability.
Yes, definitely. Yes, our prayers brother as well.
Reparations, bro.
Hey, reparations, exactly. Well, hey,
Get a check, man.
but hey, y'all, we want to thank y'all again so much for joining us here on Culture Kings. Hey, fellas, any last words that you want to say real quick?
Wow. Brother Maurice, man, thank you so much for joining us today. We constantly stress within the times that we have that we, with every word that we speak, that we give someone an idea. You definitely embody that today. Thank you so much for your time, your dedication, and also for your heart, because we definitely hear that in everything that you have said to us today.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
And I agree with everything that he says. I just sort of ditto what he says. Thank you for coming. It's just the realness, the reality to really speak. You didn't tiptoe around any of the questions or the issues. You just brought it to us real, and I appreciate that. Like I said, we want to work towards solutions. So I think having you on, you definitely sparked some ideas for us, for me personally, and we're going to have some conversations about some of the things that you presented here.
Right on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
One more thing. So we're gonna have. I'm gonna go ahead and speak it into fruition. You're gonna be back on. So
we have Zeno on with him as well.
And the reason that I want you to be back on is that I want to hear how your 7 points of action, which ones have actually taken place, so that we can actually hear about like your measured goals and your accomplishments with the things that you already presented. That's so I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from you here pretty soon.
Okay, I forgot to add also that I just recently applied for to be a part of the Toledo Civilian Review Board. I haven't heard anything yet. I hope that I'm given that opportunity to come to that board to bring my knowledge to help with what we're going through. So next time when you bring me on, hopefully I'm on that board, and then also some measured goals from our assessment from Blue Sky. So yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, man, I just want to encourage everybody in the spirit of Lecrae after the music stops.
Okay.
In the conversation, when the national spotlight goes away, let's not wait till another person's shot down or even the officer's life is lost. Let's just continue this conversation and continue working towards some goals.
Right.
Amen.
Awesome. Good job. Yes. And again, Maurice, man, hey, you are a culture king. You are a leader. All right. And you are doing exactly what a culture king is supposed to do. And we speak that to others out there who may be leaders in your community. Hey, be that culture king. All right. Because again, there's only one leader, and you start off being a great leader when you become a follower. Okay. So again, thank you all so much. Remember, you matter in the kingdom of God. Don't compare yourself or your ministry to anyone else out there. Just do what God has called you to do, and you'll be just fine. All right. Just remember, we are culture kings. And yes, hey, chocolate goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
What can I do without you, man?
Okay. Hey, Miss Zenia.
Oh, awesome,
Miss
awesome,
Zenia, thank you
awesome.
so much. We want to have you on as well too. Okay, we definitely want to have you on. But thank you so much for your organization and your vision. You are a culture queen. Okay, so again,
Royal fam, the whole Royal fam.
thank you. And yes, Will. Hey, man, I'm glad that you was fired up. Hey, man, hey, you are a culture king, and I'm looking forward to more discussions as well. Let's all create that change that we want to see happen. All right, all right. Well, hey, God bless y'all. Hey, again, Maurice, you all be blessed. Hey, fellas, y'all wait on the line of things. We'll see y'all next week. Okay, stay safe out there. Okay,
Yes.
Right. Peace.
hey,
Thank you.
yes.